of a reduced income for those who operate nightclubs, clubs, discos during nighttime.
Okay. Sir, many were hoping for you to discuss the security of tenure bill, which we believe it has already been transmitted to your office. It will lapse into law in, I think, this week, sir. Ano na po ang nangyari doon?
Pinag-aralan namin mismo. I have to confer with a lot of people affected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is a toto tango to eh. So it would affect the employers, and of course, it would also greatly favor the workers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a catch-22 for me.
Are you inclined to sign it, sir? Or veto some provisions?
Maybe. It could go both. But
could go both, sir? What do you think?
I can veto it, I can sign it or allow it to lapse into law.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Bernadette Nicolas of Business Mirror, your question, please.
Good evening, Mr. President. May
Yes,
we know why there is no mention of charter change in your SONA po?
It is not the proper time to be discussing it ngayon, daw. It's better left in conferences that are not allowed to be open to the public. Kasi pag isang provision to one another, magulo eh. Isang provision lang, if you change it, there will be a lot of complaints and a lot of pros and cons. Mamahilo ka. So better you just talk it among yourselves and present it to the public. Ano na, yung package na, completed.
But sir, are you still pushing for federalism, sir?
Yes, but I said there are things which I cannot mention now. Federalism is good, but there are certain things that you have to be very clear. One is that it devolves a lot of authority to the local governments, regional. It must be something like the president, not I suppose that it would come after me, but it has to have a strong president to put together the country. Kasi ang federal, it's a very loose structure na eh. One has a lot of power locally. So the president will have to devise until such time that we have perfected it. There has to be a strong president with the same powers now. Pero ako, I'm out of it because I think that it will pass beyond my time.
Okay, sir. Sir, on land bank, sir, just one last question, sir. What exactly do you want to be reconfigured in land bank, sir? Given that you said that they focus too much on commercial transactions and not on agricultural endeavors?
It's called land bank. Primarily, it was a bank intended to serve people who are connected with lands, whether owners or tenants. So yung land reform na yan, nandyan na, most of it. I'm going to complete the land reform, whether the landowners like it or not. Because there are still tenants who are not in possession. But the owners still, the owners of the land control the produce and everything. So I'm serving notice that I have to implement the law. The law is the law. So yung mga tenants na hindi pa nailagay in possession must be placed there as beneficiaries. Second, itong land bank, as the word says, it was really originally or maybe crafted to serve enterprises or whatever there is banking needs of the people who can barely negotiate with the bank. Ngayon, isa dito, yung mga awardees ng beneficiaries na may mga binigay na sa kanila. cannot be accepted as collateral. Kasi takot nga hindi nga makabayad, tapos hindi mo naman makuha yung pera mo. But that is another thing. The fact is that they must participate in the, gaya ng, primarily, it should be the duty of the DILG, na to create cooperatives again, pareho kay panahon ni Marcos. And for the land bank to go there to the mountains. Hindi naman kailangan dalhin yung pera eh. They can have loans, then they can get the fertilizers, the seedlings, the, whatever. Pero they have to serve primarily the people. Kaya nga tinawag ng land bank eh. I suppose that was what was intended by the lawmakers at that time.
Thank you po.
All right, last question from Anan Mires of abs-cbn.
Sir, good evening. Sir, you said earlier that we will stop those who fish in our EEZ in due time. Sir, may we know how can you give a timetable on due time, and when will we know that it is the due time to stop those who are fishing from our EEZ?
Are you referring to the...
The Chinese, sir.
Well, the one is actually, naghihintay ako pag when they start to dig the oil.
So,
Mahirap yan eh. So we are a claimant, they are a claimant, so we'll have to say, look, do not forget me. And I would insist that as the owner, though conflicting with your stand, we also must have a share of the resources. Second is, wag muna ngayon. That's the first. The second is when I said, during my term, last ko na lang yan, but maybe on the second or the first term of my last year, God willing, if I'm still alive. Ang yan ang una, yung paunahan. So, the one that was bruited about was a sharing of 60-40. And perhaps because they are being extra generous or just parling goodwill, okay na sa akin yan. We do not have the resources. We do not have the capital to invest in digging oil. It's so expensive. It can only be done by a huge capital outlay, which we cannot afford.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
That ends the press briefing. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank